Okay, we live.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to this month's meeting of the Facilities and Recreation meeting. The council would like to advise that this meeting is being video and audio recorded, as well as being live streamed to YouTube, and will subsequently appear on the council website. Could I please ask that all mobile devices are either switched off or put to silent during this meeting? And for item number 1, I will pass you over to the town clerk.
Good evening, everybody. The first item on the agenda is the appointment of a chair. Are there any nominations for the appointment of chair?
Who made us speak? Who made us speak?
Go on.
Go on then, we can hear you.
You can hear me, can you? I cannot see you. You've disappeared.
Yeah, come on,
Chairman, I
Councillor
would like
Maddison.
to nominate Councillor Kevin Thompson as chair, who's stood in for an awful long time on these committees and has done a very good job. Thank you.
I'll second
I'd like to
that.
second him.
Elizabeth has.
Great. Councillor Thompson, can you now take the chair? And just to advise members, the first item on the next F&R will be the appointment of a deputy chair to assist Councillor Thompson. So if anybody would like to think about that for next month, please do so.
Apologies.
We have Councillor Geldard, Councillor Ranyard, Councillor Grayson and Councillor Mrs Machin.
Declarations of interest.
None received.
Do we have any members' dispensation?
None given.
Public questions?
None for this evening.
Right. Item number 6, planning. Has anybody got any comments or anything?
Yes, members.
Like here? Councillor Machin?
Can I ask, is this Carvello's 15 Cheapside, Spennymoor? Where all the alterations have
No,
been?
I think it's.
Can you turn that up?
I think it's Casa d'Italia.
Might lose us.
It's been,
Did you hear that? I think it's Casa d'Italia.
well, it's where Casa d'Italia used to be, but it's now called Carvello's and it's open, I think, isn't it?
Oh, right. I wouldn't know.
I'm not sure what's meant by a change of use to mixed use, restaurant and bar. Because I thought that's what it was. That's where it's always
I think
been.
it's. This is, yes. So I think it's just the different name, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Foster, I'm sorry, I think you just pipped Councillor Machin there, but I was a bit slow on getting to the chat line. So have you got anything there?
That's no problem, Chair. It is a slight change in the sense that there is a distinct bar area as well as a restaurant area, and that is potentially a change of use under the planning regulations, which is what I think is why the application's got in the way it has. I think I've got more difficulty with it as somebody who represents that area. I think anything that encourages business to come to that area, I think, is to be welcomed. I think the facility itself has gone down well within the general area in the past. A new restaurant with these additional facilities, I think, is something to be welcomed. So I'm more than happy to support and encourage that business to come forward.
Do we need to send anything off, Councillor Foster? Should we just note it? Do you want a letter sending off to support or?
No, just note it. We have no plan on objections, and obviously if we're supportive in general terms, I think that'll be fine.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner, I believe you want to say something?
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. I don't know if the council would actually agree with me. I think it may be worth sending a letter of support, being as it's a business in Spennymoor, just so that when it does go to planning, at least it's got the support of the town council. And I don't know if this is going to be delegated or whether it'll go to committee, but just in case, I think a letter of support would be worth sending.
So do we agree that we'll send a letter in support? I mean, Councillor Foster was in support, but I agree, let's send a letter in support, as it is a business in the town centre.
Chair, if that's helpful, I'm more than happy to support that. I've got no difficulty with sending the letter at all.
Thank you. So that's what we'll do. Item number 7.
Do you want to waive standing orders so I can do it immediately?
Yes, can we waive standing orders, everyone?
Yes.
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay, Town Clerk, you're happy with that?
Yes, thank you.
Item number 7, request to use town council land. Who's going to present that?
This is I will, Councillor Thompson. This is a report I brought to council last month, and I was asked to bring it back because there's a lot of information to digest. So basically, during lockdown, we've had several requests from commercial organisations to use town council land, Jubilee Park, High Whitworth, for the purposes of commercial activity. Now, the town council does facilitate charities and voluntary groups using the park. Obviously, when anybody uses the park or any of our land, it does raise the risk of an incident occurring and the town council being sued. So basically, the point of the report tonight is to ask the town council, do they want to differentiate between charity and local community and voluntary groups and commercial groups? Do they actually want commercial groups to be allowed to use the land? And if so, are they happy with the documentation that's been provided, that we would hold them, well, try and hold them to account? Because the problem is, if an accident or incident occurs, a personal injury solicitor will advise any participants to sue both the town council and the organiser of any such event. So there's always a liability attached.
Does anyone want to speak?
Yeah, can I ask the town clerk a question? If we were to allow it, in the sense that we were able to place more conditions on it, for example, around first aid and insurance, etc., would that allow us to regulate things more? For example, if somebody was to do it without our permission, would that be an additional defence to us to say that, well, you never asked us, you never approached us? Would that make our defence a little bit easier?
Unfortunately not, no. Any participant again would still be encouraged to sue both the town council and the organiser.
Councillor Gardner, you would like to make a comment?
Chair, I think automation was before me, but I'll go anyway. Chair, is there any way we could put some form of contract in place where anyone wanting to use any facilities would abide by a legally binding contract, so they would ensure that, if you like, their insurances overrode or became priority over ours? I wonder if you can help us out on that, Catherine, please.
Unfortunately, no, that is not the case. I used to work in personal injury, and I've also, because I've been out of the arena for several years, I've contacted a solicitor and they've assured me that the situation hasn't changed. It wouldn't matter what we put in writing, any solicitor would still tell an injured party, both parties, in the hope that at least one of them would pay out.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Gardner?
Yes, Chair, it's a difficult one.
Can I bring in Councillor Machin now?
Yeah, I've got a few questions, if I may. Reading the documentation, it sounds like a mini version of the SAG. Would it not be, or has it been considered to adopt the application to Specialty Advisory Group, Safety Advisory Group? That would be my first question. And would that offer us better protection or more protection? Second one is, unless I missed it.
We could. Oh, sorry.
Well, I'll do the three. So the next question is, are the town council going to specify whereabouts these activities need to take place in the park? That's the second question. The third one, which links a bit with the SAG question, I'm just conscious that we asked the Gala committee to go through the SAG process. So are we advocating different processes for different applications? And the last question is, have we taken advice from the insurance companies? Have we got any input from them? Just to understand what their position would be or their view would be.
Right, so in relation to the town council, yes, we would dictate and allocate them an area in which to exercise if the town council wanted to go ahead with this, and we would make them stick to that area. In relation to the SAG, I've tried to make the application as close to the SAG as possible, and I've taken it from a Principal Authority's website that's been through their legal department, but no, it won't give us any extra cover. In relation to the insurance company, what they said is obviously the more activity you have in the park, the more risks you're taking, the more chance it is that you will be sued. And they've kind of said, obviously we take a risk anyway because we allow voluntary and community groups, because that's what we're here for, to facilitate them, like the Park Run, which is a charity which is free to people. If we suddenly have 2 or 3 insurance claims, it may get to the point where we can't allow anyone to use our lands, because we might get to a point where we can't get insurance. So we just need to weigh up the risk you want to take. And at the moment, we take a lot of risks with the community and voluntary and charity groups, but do you want to add to it by allowing commercial organisations to use the area?
Do you want to come back on that, Councillor Machin?
I guess just the question, just back on the SAG question, I'm just conscious that we asked the Gala committee to go down one route. Would we, when the Gala committee apply next year, assuming that, fingers crossed, we actually get to have a Gala next year, which route would they go down? Would they go down the SAG process, or would they go down the town council process? Because it seemed to me to make sense to only have one process.
It's the SAG process. And what I would suggest is we still need all this documentation that I've presented, but if we do go ahead, we insist that any organiser goes down the SAG process as well and cover as many bases as possible.
Okay, so that in effect, we're trying to do as much as we can to ensure that there aren't any issues, and any issues are flagged up and beforehand rather than afterwards. Okay, thank you.
Councillor
Yes.
Malloy? Councillor Malloy?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as we know, the Jubilee Park, it's public land, it's open to the public, and I'm all for is getting it used as much as possible, be it by community groups, charities, even like a small commercial business like fitness, and we've seen like the local sports clubs, because it gives them a different environment to use rather than just being indoors all the time. So I'm for this, and I am mindful that if council do decide that we are covering ourselves as much as possible, as the town clerk says, just in case there's any future litigation, anything comes to us through insurances. So yeah, I think we should encourage it. Thank you, Chair.
Does anyone else want to say anything? If I may, I would like to make some comments just to try and... Sorry, come on in, Councillor Gardner.
Yeah, Chair, I do think we need to limit the amount of risk that we've got. I think that hopefully the town clerk would agree with me. I absolutely am totally supportive of community and charitable organisations, but I think it may be worth our while to maybe reduce costs of insurances to limit it to not allowing commercial organisations who may have a vested interest, let's say, in maybe pushing things towards the town council rather than wanting their own insurance to cover it first. So I think if we limit that risk, I think it's worthwhile doing purely from a cost point of view for the town council.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Councillor Machin, you would like to speak again?
You're on mute, Councillor Machin.
I was unmuted. I think it's a difference between a charity or a not-for-profit organisation and a commercial organisation. And I know we asked the question previously, if we could insure individual events, so we would understand what the cost could be, and that's not possible. Can I ask the question the other way around? Could the individual organisations, if they're a commercial organisation who want to use the park, could they take out insurance? Would we require that they take out insurance?
We would be insisting that they take out insurance. They would have to take out insurance, and they would have to prove that they have the requisite training, any of their trainers. If you read the documentation, there are several requirements that we would impose upon them, but nothing mitigates the risk. Shortly before I started with the council, there was an occasion where someone was injured in the park whilst taking part in an organised commercial event. They chose to sue the town council, and that resulted in tens of thousands of pounds being paid out, and subsequently we had an increase in our insurance premiums.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Machin? Can I bring in the next speaker?
Yeah.
Councillor Mr. or Mrs. Clive Madison. Liz, Clive, are you on mute?
Yep, they are.
It is Councillor Liz Madison, and it is just to ask that if we were to open up the facilities, do we have sufficient resource in order to deal with the applications that come in?
That would be a struggle, because obviously it's another additional thing. We would have to work with these organisations to ensure they have the suitable risk assessments, the suitable training, the suitable insurances. We would have to carry out extra inspections on the land that we were going to allocate them to use. Afterwards, we would have to do remedial work on the land if they damage it during their works. And there would need to be some policing of the activity as well, so it would be a further burden on resources.
Come in, Councillor Foster. You just caught me in.
Thanks, Chair. I was following the debate with interest, and I'll go back to the point I made at the question I asked earlier on. And I can understand what Councillor Gardner is saying about the differential between charitable organisations and community organisations and those who are there to do profit. I think it would be easier from our point of view to regulate it if we were to go along the lines that the paperwork in the report outlines. That we do allow it, but we set the conditions, we create the space that they do it in, that we police that space, and if they step outside it, then it's a breach of the agreement they've got with us. And of course, any breach of that agreement would risk termination of that agreement. I think it gives us a chance to regulate it better than potentially have a free-for-all where we don't regulate it. People set these things up, we don't find out about it in advance. If we can say that there is a procedure, if people want to go through it, they can go through that procedure. If they don't satisfy our requirements, then again, as part of our license for them to use that facility, we would deny them access to that facility. I think by regulating it, we would have better control over it. So I'm formally move that we go along the lines of agreeing to do it, following the lines of the report.
I would like to say something. I'm in favour of what Councillor Foss has just said, because I am a little bit concerned that we've got a community facility there that we might deny people using, even though they're making a profit. It's still a community facility, and it could well be providing something for the community. And personally, I'll ask the town clerk this, but I think I know what the answer is going to be because it's not under the line. I think it might have helped councillors to know the organisations that, as it stood, we would not allow to use the park. Am I right in thinking, town clerk, you can't tell me those organisations because we're above the line? Because that might have helped councillors make a decision.
Well, I don't think it matters which organisations have, well, they haven't even asked, they've just advertised on Facebook. So we've had to stop them because we had nothing in place. So it's just local gyms and individuals that run exercise classes.
Well, I'll formally second what Councillor Foster's just moved. But Pete Malloy, Councillor Malloy would like to say something, but we have something that's been moved and seconded. Councillor Malloy?
Thanks, yeah. I was just going to second Councillor Foster's motion, but you've done it. It's okay.
Right, so should we move to a vote? Is someone going to go through, or do I have to go through, or is there someone, because I haven't got a list of names here. How are we doing this time?
Julie, have you got a list of alphabetical names?
Yes, I have. Right, so it's
Can you go
voting
through the
on
list, please?
Councillor Foster's motion. So Councillor Abley, how do you vote?
For this motion.
Yes. Councillor Foster?
For the motion.
Councillor Gardner?
For the motion.
Councillor Harmer? He's not here, is he?
Yes, for the motion.
Oh.
Yes.
Councillor Hiley?
For the motion.
Councillor Machin?
For the motion.
Councillor Madison? Mr Madison?
For the motion.
Councillor Mrs Madison?
For.
Councillor McAloon?
For.
Councillor Malloy?
For.
Councillor Mrs Smith?
For the motion.
Councillor Mrs Thompson?
For the motion.
Councillor Mr Thompson?
For the motion.
Councillor Mrs Wood?
For the motion.
That's unanimous then.
Motion is therefore carried.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is Tudor Colliery Disaster Memorial. Have we got any comments?
This is just for information for members to note.
It's not a matter of supporting, is it? Can we not? I made a comment that because they were going to have to do it without visiting the memorial, I was going to suggest, should we take some photographs and send, or do you think they would already have that available? It may be helpful if we sent them some photographs. I don't know whether we need to move that anything. It's just a suggestion.
I've made that offer to the organisation. I've made that offer to the organisation and come back to me if they need them.
Great. Well, thank you for attending, everyone. And we'll draw the meeting to a close.